Switch it back. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the delay with our start for this. Before we actually start the session, you'd be aware that there is an election for the chair and co-chair of this session, of the cooperation SIG for the next 2 years for the chair and 1 year for the co-chair. Dr. Govind and Billy Shion have both nominated for those positions, and I suggest we appoint them elected unopposed. So if I have your support, just a round of applause, please. We're going to be really pushed for time, so I am going to ring the bell just to keep the speakers on time, but I'll pass across to Dr. Govind now. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And I would like to thank the SIG members and the community for supporting my candidature for the position of chair here, Cooperation SIG, for a 2-year period. A journey, I recall, which was initiated by Mr. Paul Wilson and Ravi Shankar, Rajesh Chharia, Naveen Tandon, Colonel Parhar, Mr. Brijesh Jain, and Mr. Shyam Nair, has culminated into a forum in APNIC to discuss the public policy issues on internet and related matters. My mission is to make this SIG vibrant, dynamic, and democratic entity in Asia Pacific region and contribute towards the public policy issues emerging in this part of the world and bring a consensus with the interaction with the community as a whole. Now, this session we designed to take a particular topic this time rather than talking different things. So we chosen a topic of connecting next billion in Asia Pacific. What are the challenges and opportunities? So I will begin with the latest manifesto brought out by Mark Zuckerberg, stating that connectivity and networking will help evolve the future societies against the isolationism and globalization, which is the latest, I think, mail or letter he has written to the Facebook blog. I would like to pick up the thread of the connectivity, which is going to be most critical aspect of social empowerment. The rapid digital revolution and technological changes are sweeping the world and making it more prosperous and inclusive. Internet, with its growing economic, social, cultural, and political dimensions, has emerged as an influential global medium. The internet is a major factor for dynamically changing the cross-cultural habits, the entertainment, education, economy, and politics. Asia Pacific, with its 56 economies and population of 4 billion, diverse, unlike any other region in the world, it exhibits diversity and that closely reflects the challenges that we face in India on a daily basis. It has wide variations with regard to the internet penetration and speed. It includes countries having the highest internet speed in the world, as well as those which are amongst the lowest, where internet penetration is concerned. In the middle are the large countries which make up nearly 40% of the world's population: India, China, Indonesia, and Pakistan. Asia Pacific faces special challenges in enabling digital inclusion. Some of these are the infrastructure related, difficult terrain, mountains and ocean regions, diversity of languages, scripts, large rural populations, social and educational backwardness, gender-based access, extreme diversity. Existence of marginalized communities, indigenous peoples, lack of policy coherence. At the same time, there are mitigating factors also may ease the process of digital inclusion, increasing the mobile population across the barriers, falling cost for internet access, better education, more openness towards technology, particularly from the youth, startup culture. So there are different varieties which exist in Asia Pacific region, and for which I hope this session is going to tell you what are the nuances and how we are going to face the challenges in tackling the next 1 billion Asia Pacific. Thank you. So I will begin with the next billion by Ali Al-Mashal to speak about it.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ali Al-Mashal. Glad to be here in a different culture, country, and a different region to where I am coming from. I'm coming from Bahrain, from the Middle East part of the world. So starting with, as we said, connecting or reaching to the next billion users. On my APRICOT capacity as a vice chair within ICANN community, I would like to give some highlights, first of all, about what we do and how is our structures, and then what we are doing to reach to the next billion. So allow me to start with this as what we are doing as an ALSs. So what is the at-large? How is at-large is working? And for those people who are not familiar with these type of terminologies, for the meetings, or did attend just a few of them and they are not yet familiar with the different working group and communities. At-large is the individual, it's a community that look into the individual internet users and to work on mostly the policy development for ICANN. Now in at-large, we have we have exactly 219 at-large structures. We call them ALSs. So ALSs, it's representative from countries, but they are coming from different type of communities. Either they are academia, NGOs, technical communities, different type. And those 219 are represented from countries all over the world, so, and different territories. Those ALSs work on interest of the end users. So they work more closely to the other communities within ICANN and how they pass the message or shows the interest of the end users. In the growth that we are doing, now some of these at-large structures, or we call them RALOs, which is defined for each region of the world, individual affiliation or individual interest can come and subscribe and become part of the at-large structure. It doesn't have to be part of a specific organization. And that's why we are opening for the individual, to those who cannot be part of a specific affiliation, they can join an at-large and get their voice heard by the ICANN community and the internet. I've just chosen to put this picture. This is from the last, we call it summit, that happened in UK, in London, where we invited all of these at-large communities and ALSs from all over the world to come and join and participate in the discussions and the working groups. So you can notice we have APRALO, URALO, and AFRALO, and LARALO and NARALO, which is all about the regions of the world. Currently, we have structures, and the structures come, we said, ALAC, and then we have at-large. And within ALAC, We have people that get nominated, people that get elected, and it depends on the period. We have a 2 years period or 1 year period. And we have also appointed alike to different type of, like we have NOMCOM, which is the nominating committee that works on within ICANN to choose for whatever vacancies on the leadership terms that they look into. This is the APRICOT structures. I said I want just to share with you so we become familiar to you as well. So we have chair, we have 2 vice chairs, and we have the secretary. As of now, Mr. Satish Babu, he's the chair, and myself is a vice chair, and we have 1 vacancy because we used to have 2 chairs, but the other chair has been appointed by ICANN to be a staff there. And we have the secretary, who's Bhavan. You can notice the diversity and the diversification of the structure from different regions, from different type of culture and people. So, as an APRICOT, today we have 49 certified ALSs. When I said ALSs, again, I said it's mean like an organization or NGO, technical community from 28 countries and territories. And bringing this slide, it gives me the opportunity to pass an invitation and a message to the Vietnamese community, as until today, we don't have a Vietnam representative within us, within the APRICOT. So I would like to take this opportunity to the people who are engaged with this type of activities to come and reach to us while we are in this meeting, or even communicate to us through the website that we have on APRICOT or ICANN, to come and join us. Let us hear your voice. Let us hear what do you have as an issues, what do you have as a challenges to participate in the policy development in the ICANN world. It's not only for Vietnamese. Whoever is interested to join the APRICOT, please reach to us. We are available here during the week and even on the emails and the other contacts that you would like to reach us for. So this is the current 49 ALSs that we are having that are part of the APRICOT, so I don't want to take time in this. If you will notice the challenges that within APRICOT we are having, it's going to go across all the things that we are done, even if we reach to the point of the reaching to the next billion. You know how diversified is this region. You know how big is this region. So within all of these challenges, it's a common factors on number of things. So we said how to engage ALSs more in ALAC work. We have, as I said, we have 49 ALSs, but are they all of them active? Do all of them participate? Why they are not participating? So these are things that we at the leadership team and a community trying to figure out. Getting a new ALSs, that's why I'm opening the floor here to whoever is interested and think that he wants to reach his voice, either individual or through an organization, please reach to us. Different time zone, you would not believe that whenever we are having a call, we have an official monthly call for the APRICOT. So to manage that call is one of the most challenges that we are having. People are in the morning, people are in the early morning, midnight, afternoon, and so on and so forth. So you will find people who just waked up and people who are ready to go to bed. So that's all because of the time zone, which is a big challenge for us to organize any type of calls or meetings that we are having. Language, you know it, coming from Cook Island and Tillab, different type of language, different type of culture. So again, if we go to the translating this language sometimes in the calls, not all of them is a real-time translation is available for them. Distance and geographic, of course, if we said the region is that much diversified and big, again, we have an issue with the distance. Opportunities, though we said we have some challenges, but we have so many different opportunities as well. If you are unable to attend call, if you are unable to participate in a face-to-face meeting, you can join the mailing list. If you have an interest, we have from time to time, so frequently, we have an open vacancies in the APRICOT leadership team, or heading a working groups, or being in connection for some other special task or assignments. If you don't have time to attend all of the calls, you might select just to join one of your interests as a working group. Join a working group and share your views and interests or anything that you think it's to the interest of the end user. Most of the meetings are recorded and transcribed as well. So even if you did not have the chance to attend any meeting or call, then you can refer back to all of these. We need your knowledge. We need your expertise. Every single one of us have an expertise in certain areas. So adding to that is the most important to us. So these are the working groups that currently is available. Some of them, I don't think it's all of them, but these are standing and ad hoc working groups. I opt to share this to show you that if you have any interest in any of these, as of now, just go and subscribe to those mailing list, and you will be part of the communication and the exchange of these things. I will not go through all of them, but as you see, we have a number of them. We have capacity building working group, which is one of the most active one and most needed one for every different topics that we have as of today. Technical issues, registrations issues, and so on and so forth. These are subcommittees that we create to participate in ICANN, let's say, a decision in some different areas like the finance or outreach or at-large subcommittee for the matrix. Even for the finance, we put our voice in it for the budget for the at-large and ALAC position as well. We have some achievements and activities that we have done. We have signed different type of MOUs with different entities. It's all about cooperation and coordination to have some more activities and connections. And this is one of the things that will help us to reach to the next billion through different cooperation with different entities as well. We have created or developed a new program starting last year, which is the mentorship program. And this mentorship program, now we are looking for the new leaders for the APRICOT, new leaders who will take position leadership, take positions and chairing working groups or other tasks that has been assigned to us. And we are, as a leadership and as a community, trying our level best to participate in different events and workshops across the region, wherever we can, different part of the world we are participating in. I opt to choose this one as well, just to say thanks for the APAC Hub, because they are the one who coordinate that session with us, and they are the one who have facilitated this session, that we are working very much closely with the APAC Hub to do a number of sessions across the region. So I opt just to put this and tell you what we are doing and how APAC Hub is working with us. We have certain areas and focus areas that we are doing for 2017, which is the capacity building activities, enhancing participation in ICANN policy procedures, getting engaged, enhancing the engagement for our community, contributing to regional initiatives, that this is one of it that we are doing, and our mentorship program. Going to the next billion users, as you see that the internet is now 3 billion users, and the expectations are the next billion will be coming from this region. And going to that, we have seen that the Asia Pacific region is the most diverse, which we are speaking about, being on APRICOT. I have get this information from the United Nations, one of their statistics and information. Republic of Korea is posting 84% of internet penetration rate, while Myanmar has only 2.1 as the World Bank. So, and China, Indonesia, Japan, and account for 37 of the world's mobile subscriber base, GSM. Why I put this mobile subscriber? Because of, you know, the Internet of Things, the innovation of all the technologies, and how to reach to this next billions. Definitely, it's not through the normal internet as of today, but moving to the mobile technology, which is the widest use. Some of the challenges, we have the demographic, geographic, and economic people, and the educational issues that we have in some of the regions. And as again we are saying, it's a huge region. So we have different type of economy from region to region, different type of infrastructure from one region to another. So you'll have a well-developed infrastructure in one of the countries within this region, and you will have different infrastructure, let's say, not as good as the other in different countries. So this is the things that might be of the challenges. So what APRICOT is doing within the maximum capacity that we have, being as a community initiative, a community body, we are trying to find a way or to provide a way for individual organization to exist as a user. We just recently opened the individual membership for anyone to join us, which is a good and a huge opportunities that someone can participate with us. Participating within APRICOT, within the ICANN community, it opened the doors for how you can serve the internet. The capacity building, we are providing a lot of capacity building programs, webinars, again, targeting different type of topics, different issues or challenges that we are having. People are, within the APRICOT, are open to a huge source of information. I would encourage you to go and visit the ICANN Learn on ICANN website, which you have a lot of information about this. So within a community initiatives that we are in, these are most of the things that we are having as of today, how we go to the domain and to support the domain names industry and to reach the next billion within the community that we are trying to do. And lastly, these are some of the URLs I would encourage you to go and visit to see whatever other informations that you can get. And with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
I will request now Mr. Satish Babu to, I will thank Mr. Ali Mashal and then request Satish Babu to give it 10 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Satish Babu. I'm from India, and I chair the AP Relo, of which Ali, my colleague, has been speaking on. I request the chair to please warn me at about 9 minutes so that I don't exceed the time. So there you go. I'm going to speak about Asia Pacific in the next billion. Some of the challenges have already been talked about. Now, this, home to over 60% of humanity, extreme diversity of all kinds, geographic, cultural, linguistic, and so on. Highly variable. There's a lot of variability in terms of the penetration. Qatar is 92%, even higher than South Korea. Myanmar is 2%, as Ali mentioned. Speed-wise, South Korea is 29 Mbps. And cost-wise, India, the last 3 months back, one of the new ISPs, they're charging $5 a month for 1 GB per day. That's about 30 GB. And that is a kind of disruption in the market. It's caused a lot of disruption in the market, and people are scrambling, the existing vendors are really scrambling to kind of compete. Now, this $5 for 1 GB per day, we feel is going to create ripples and perhaps boost the rate of adoption of the internet. Now, the potential is also very clear. We feel that there is abundant opportunities for scaling up internet access in the region. Some regions like South Asia, especially India, where the penetration is about between 15 and 20%. or Mekong Delta, where we are right now, maybe Cambodia, Laos, or Vietnam, is also kind of, there is a lot of scope. And as I mentioned, there could be rapid scaling up in some of these regions. Now, I'd like to broadly categorize the factors that impact penetration into 4 buckets. First, we have the infrastructure and cost. We have the social issues. We have the tech issues. And finally, we have the policy issues. In general, one can say that over the entire region, these impediments are kind of gradually breaking down and the penetration steadily increasing. If you look at the infrastructure and costs, some of the countries in the region have significant infrastructural issues. For instance, Armenia, where one of our colleagues come from, is landlocked, and their only access to the net is through Georgia. And there are severe issues of the technology kind. The other issues relate to internal backbones, the existence of or penetration of mobile networks, and the last mile. Costs are, generally speaking, coming down. And the increasing penetration of mobile networks provides a vector for the internet, because it is piggybacking on the mobile networks. Now, Asia Pacific is rather unique for its social kind of factors. We have a very ancient history through most of the region. We have very significant traditions. And some of these actually are an issue when it comes to opening up of the internet. Issues like gender, the education levels, disability, and the concept of social backwardness. These are at times impediments to the penetration of the internet. When you talk about the technology issues, one of the interesting aspects of technology in the region is the coexistence of multiple generations of technologies. I don't think, if you take Africa, for example, they have kind of leapfrogged. There is very little initial old technology, so they're all in the modern technology, whereas the developed world is also moved on. In most parts of Asia, we are coexisting in terms of these generations of technologies. Local language and scripts is another big problem. As coming from the numbers community or the names community, IDNs, internationalized domain names, and universal acceptance are, of course, very important. In India's case, where we have a very interesting phenomenon happening about, in November last, the government pushed for demonetization by withdrawing some of the high-value nodes. The idea being, they wanted to kind of do away with unaccounted money. One of the side effects of that is a very great push for cashless or less cash economy. The entire, we have a lot of poor people, but no matter whether you're rich or poor, everybody is being pushed in a kind of inexorable way to go cashless. And that raises very interesting challenges. But we feel that the technology issue is kind of getting solved, but the IDN and the script and the language-related issues are still, kind of out there, not completely solved. There's also this issue of, even if you take care of IDNs, the very aspect of entering these strings on your mobile device, or even on the computer keyboard, because there are so many scripts, and on the mobile keyboard, it's very hard to actually enter them. And it poses new kind of challenges as we go less cash or cashless. So it's not just a matter of, when you say the language, not just a matter of IDNs or universal acceptance, although we can't even now send an email which is composed of IDNs. It's an email address @ and then an IDN kind of a name. Still, we have interoperability issues depending on the client you're using. And payment gateways are going to be very important as we go cashless. But by and large, the policy coherence is also a challenge. Of course, all the governments across the region have recognized the importance of the internet as a very vital infrastructure for the development of the country. But then the legal environment is, it depends, varies a lot. In India, we have a Indian Telegraph Act, which is 1895, which is over a century old. And some aspects of the internet is governed by these obsolete legal frameworks. So achieving coherence in the case of policy is actually quite a challenging problem. And as you see the rapid changes happening, whether it's e-commerce or this cashless, our legislatures are actually running to keep pace with these changes to to create enabling policies. So generally speaking, enabling policy is both an essential prerequisite and sometimes the starting point for enhanced internet penetration. At least in India's case, where this huge 1.2, 1.3 billion people are going to go cashless, it's going to be very interesting to see how it kind of goes ahead. So in summary, the great diversity in Asia Pacific poses special challenges, and a single solution, a single universal solution may be very elusive. We will not be able to kind of think of such a solution, and we will need to have localized approaches. As our chairman mentioned early on in the presentation, we have a lot of variability from very large countries to very small communities. My colleague Maureen, who's sitting in the front row, she comes from an island where the total population is about 15,000. So that is the kind of range we're talking about. So definitely we need localized approaches. Also, the quality of digital divide is changing. It's no longer about access alone. It's about the quality of access. Can you do meaningful things with the internet that you have? Because people do have access. But as somebody is pointing out, having access 15 days a month is not really going to bridge the digital divide. So the quality of the bandwidth, the language, the type of access device, these are all going to impact the kind of digital divide we're talking about. Social factors, gender, education, disability still remain a very significant constraint in our region. And finally, a strong enabling policy framework is what we require, which is going to be a good starting point for ensuring this motto of internet for everyone. Thanks very much, and I'd like to place on record our appreciation for APNIC, who's supported us, me and my colleague Ali, in part of our expenses in making it to this event here. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Satish Babu. Next is Mr. B.C. Jain, an RONC member, to talk on the next billion.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am speaking after Aprillo and with the perspective of internet service provider and perspective of India. For giving service, you need internet service provider. Now, in India, I would request Adam to show me 2 minutes when I tell you, not from your watch. Thank you. In India, a broadband is defined as 512 kbps as per National Telecom Policy 2012 to revise the existing broadband from 256 then to 512 and subsequently to 2 Mbps and higher speed of 100 Mbps. So first milestone is achieved. On second milestone of 2 Mbps, we are still under debating because our Department of Telecommunication feels that if we revise to 2 megabit per second, our number of broadband users will come down. So India, where it stands on 120 place, may further slip down. Just in the perspective, the usage is browsing Facebook, Skype online. Their consumption, they don't need high speed. As service provider, we need to worry about three things. One is speed. Second is consumption. And third, of course, is the latency. Now, when the video came on the scene, everything changed. Video low quality, you can manage in 1.5 megabit per second, resulting in 0.3 GB per hour. And now, Tokyo Olympics have announced that in 2020, they will go to video super high vision 8K. This needs 100 Mbps speed. This translates to 30 gigabytes per hour. Told that it is $0.15 per GB. That still translates to $4.5 per hour is substantial money. Now, first, in India, we have got three situations. One is the urban, semi-urban, and rural. Now, we have always lived in the internet from scarcity. So now, from scarcity to abundance, basically, customer needs consistent quality, it needs high speed, and more so, it's very important in our context is when your neighbor wakes up, my internet should not go down because sharing should be less. And this is what happens in some situations, especially sharing the spectrum. And of course, I have shown in the previous slide, there is an ever increasing need of speed from fraction of megabit to more than 100 megabit. And in some sense, optical fiber networks are important. Here, once you lay the infrastructure, capacity can be increased by upgrading equipment. It is in a sense future-proof because it can handle speed. And more, very importantly, whatever spectrum we have got, it reduces load on spectrum because fiber can be used at fixed location, whereas spectrum can be used for when you are mobile, when you are away from the fixed location. Now, once again, referred to National Telecom Policy, it said that we want affordable, reliable broadband on demand by the year 2015 and to achieve 175 million by year 2017 and 600 million by the year 2020 at minimum 2 megabit per second speed and thereafter 100 megabit. So it is a typical bureaucratic statement. We have achieved some of it. Somebody will say we have not achieved. Telecom Authority, this slide says that just in the start of 2017, we had a wired subscribers, 18 million. We had a mobile device users, 217 millions. Fixed wireless, 0.59 million. And total becomes 236. This in some way may or may not include one of the new operators, their numbers, who are claiming that in 6 months' time from the launch in August 2016 till now, they have reached 100 million. But that number is still not reported from the Telecom Authority. Now, internet in India is now, optical fiber is being rolled out at a rapid pace. New gigabit passive optical network GPON is now capable of 1 Gbps every home. The speed offered is 100 Mbps, where fiber is rolled at a price point of rupees 10 USD, 15 cents or $0.15 per gigabyte and even lower. At the same time with the fiber, mobile, and we will all remember that in India, we have got 1,000 million, 1 billion mobile users already, which are mostly voice. So now there is a 4G coming up to boost the numbers. Now access speed is now over 10 Mbps at a price point of rupees 30 USD, $0.45 with a defined upper limit per day, as my previous speaker told, which is 1 GB. An operator has announced USD 15 cents per gigabyte April 2017 onwards, and voice is free on top of it. But please remember, this is a limit. The 1 gigabyte which don't use today, whether it will be given to me tomorrow or not, that question is still remains open. So in a way, the actual cost becomes higher. Now, at some point, we had only YouTube. Suddenly, as I mentioned, that we have this issue of the speed, we have the issue of consumption. So suddenly now, beyond YouTube, in India now we have got Hotstar, Woot, Sony Live, etc. And of course, Netflix has already entered India, and Netflix connection entered when India started giving speed more than 20 megabit per second. So that is what Netflix needs for its quality 4K subscription. And Amazon have just announced Prime Video. We have got reality shows, catch-up TV, serials tailor-made, and we have a very large number of users on this content. Content needs to be developed in Marathi, other regional languages. There is a digital music, Ghana, Wink, etc. But please remember that while they handle masses, but their consumption is less. And we, of course, have got multiple audio, video, messaging applications of Facebook, Google, etc. Now, in the moment we come to the content, we speak of the how much price it will come. Content in India is 40% or so is within India, even though I suggested to Adam not to show me still he is. Now, content is 40% or so within India. Half comes from the region. Region means, if we say North India, and half from the other regions. 60% comes from the international through the undersea cables. Now, content obviously has to be close to end user for low delay. If the delay is low, jitter obviously would be low fluctuations and higher available bandwidth. And also, security concerns addressed in more effective way if the content becomes local hosting, because there is some objectionable content as decided by the government, which is to be removed. Today, 400, 500 ISPs are told to remove such content. If the content is local, this can easily be removed at the source itself, rather than tell all the roads and highways to block it and remove it. Coming back to the content, relevant is internet exchange in India. Traffic exchange at NICSI is today approximately 1%. NICSI charter is local content in India, user in India, packet should not go outside India. And of course, NICSI exchanges and private exchanges needs to be interconnected. They still are not, but I think with time, there will be need to do that. Now, challenges, as I mentioned earlier, internet connectivity covers large urban and semi-urban. I will quickly come to the semi-urban area, where in the recent demonetization, a lot of people used internet, but some of them got very confused. The transparency in charges for services is not clear. When they deposited money and took out money, they had to pay 3%, 4%. So there needs to be a civil society and government to work along with the technology people, such that people do not get a bill shock, a shock of cost beyond the normal internet cost. In rural, access is poor. Government is trying through the $6 billion, $6 billion optical fiber rollout, but you need to extend that rollout from the internet service providers. I remembered I am part of the cooperation SIG. I will just cover one slide, which should be about the last. Now there is a need in cooperation and coordination among countries to enhance trust, security, and reliability of internet. A present internet service is, of course, spread beyond sovereign control. Now, today, there is a dilemma of privacy and protection to citizens through monitoring controls affecting openness of internet. Now, need for internal processes to enable addressing of concerns of problem, trouble from other countries. And I think the relevant people, important people are already here. Paul is here, Rajneesh is here, and there are other people. Now, if a country, it is seen that unintended attack is showing source of another country, it should be possible to raise and resolve such issues. Today, these are mostly being resolved business to business. But for unequal business situations, there is a need to help. There is need for help. Now, help comes from whom? From the government or from somewhere else? Now, lack of such resolution has the risk of a country taking unilateral action affecting open global internet. For names and addresses, such processes formally and informally already evolved, making open global internet possible today. RIR is an example. They successfully worked over last multiple years. Now there is a need to work on international cooperation and control process for mitigating threats through global internet and very quickly. Any breach has the risk of fragmenting global internet. Now that I have defined the problem, maybe, and this is definitely the last one, here is a need for cooperation SIG to work on framework facilitating international cooperation and control process. Just a thought, every country sets up an organization to receive complaints, problems, and resolve within some norms time frame. Independent international bodies keep track of resolution or otherwise, and I think RIRs are in a good position to create such framework, and I can also recognize the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. B.C. Jain ji. I will request now Mr. Rahul Birre to talk about it.
This is not prepared for putting a computer. Okay, I will keep my computer in my hand. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Raúl Echeverría. I'm Vice President of Global Engagement at the Internet Society. I'm very happy to be here. This is my whole family, since I used to work for ARIR for many years. So I'm very happy to be back in this place. Happy to be in Vietnam. It's a nice country. And second time that I'm here. Both times, thank you the same community. So please continue organizing meetings in those beautiful places so I can continue having the opportunity to visit them. I will try to make a connection between some of the things that we usually speak about, connecting the next billion, connecting the unconnected, the sustainable development goals, and another concept that I want to share with you that is about the need for innovation. Internet has become very important in the life of the people, and it is a central component of almost every activity of humans around the world. And this is the reason because today to not be connected is much more relevant than in the past. The effect of not being connected is very big. For those of us who have worked for many years under the premises that the internet is for everyone, that the internet should be a way to provide opportunities for those who have not had enough opportunities so far, and that internet is an instrument for reducing inequities, and with other words, an internet for promoting human, social, and economic development. For those of us, this is a very challenging moment, and a moment in which we have to decide what's the internet that we want, and to work hard for achieving that. Connecting the unconnected is more important than ever before. It's time for action. And this is curious because we can say that at any moment. That's always is time for action. And it has been always time for action. Since we started to connect the first countries to the internet, we felt that it was time for action, for connecting everybody. What's the difference now? The difference now is that, at least for me, I feel a sense of urgency. And I don't know if you share that, but while it continues being time for action, I think that it's time for urgent actions at this moment. If we don't take measures fast, the risk to enlarge the divide between those who are connected and those who are not connected is very big. And probably is will be too big, such big that it will be very difficult to manage. ISO has been working on connecting the unconnected for the last 25 years. In fact, this year we are making our 25th anniversary. And so most of you know some of the work we do. But we base the work on this area on 4 pillars. That is developing infrastructure, and it's well known the work we do with IXPs, community networks, developing best practices for operations, creating best conditions for operating the networks. Second pillar is capacity building. And the third pillar is community building, because it is important to empower the communities. If the connectivity, the availability of infrastructure is one driver for connectivity, but not the only one. The communities need to want to be connected. They need to understand what are the benefits that they can receive for being connected, and so it needs a lot of work with the community. And the fourth pillar is to bring our expertise and the knowledge that we develop from the work on the ground to the policy debate. In other words, to feed the policy debate based on the experiences and the knowledge we have. One of the works I mentioned, community networks, for example, that is something that in an area in which we have worked a lot in Asia and Pacific, is one example of the 4 pillars. It's about deploying infrastructure, it's about working with the communities, building communities, about creating the capacities, and it's also about bringing the experience from that project to the policy debate, because we don't expect to connect billions of people deploying community networks. But yes, we expect to learn lessons from there that can be shared and can be discussed globally for learning from there how we can improve the work and the policy environment toward more connectivity. In 2014, we started to talk about the sustainable development in the UN frame, and it conducted us toward the Sustainable Development Goals that were adopted in 2015. And we participated, international society participated very actively in all the process of discussion. In fact, we were probably one of the most active internet organizations in that process. And from the beginning, I remember meetings in New York at the beginning of the process when we brought this idea that the ICTs and internet were not just one more goal of the Sustainable Development Goals, but an horizontal component that would be important for achieving all the Sustainable Development Goals. And it was very good. At the beginning, people didn't understand, didn't get all the idea, but during the process, more and more people were supporting that idea, and now it's a common accepted idea, and everybody's speaking about that the internet is not just one goal, connectivity is not one goal, but it's something that is important for achieving all the Sustainable Development Goals. It is important, why? Because it gives us the opportunity to develop a common understanding with all stakeholders, including, very importantly, governments, because we are not just talking about connecting more people on how to grow the internet in a country. We are talking about education, healthcare, jobs. We are talking about the things we have a common language, a language that everybody can understand, especially policymakers. This is while this is not something new for us, it's because ISOC has always worked on the premises that internet were not the goal itself, but just a vehicle, an instrument for achieving the ultimate goals that are development. As I said before, this is important that we can now land the concepts of connectivity and relate them to concrete things that are much more tangible. And now we can say also that there are less margin for excuses, because now nobody can say that is not interested or not committed to work in improving the education or improving the access to healthcare or any of those things that are included in the Sustainable Development Goals. And let me say something. Countries who are not working now on how to connect all the unconnected for solving their needs on education, health, care, all the other things, are really compromising the possibilities of their countries for the next 50 years, at least, with the hope that probably in 50 years something new happens that give us new opportunities again. So this is something that we have to include in our speeches, in our dialogues with all stakeholders. And the last component is I wanted to speak about is that all this happened in the framework of a lot of concerns that some of them have been already mentioned before, and related with it's very related with the speech that Tim O'Reilly gave in the opening session that was very good. And to the traditional concerns about security that still remain, and it's important as the previous speaker already pointed out, now we have new concerns that are popping up, the impact of the internet economy in local economies, the impact on reduction or substitutions of jobs. The government see their ability to regulate some activities reduced. Uber and many others, Airbnb, all those things are examples of how the governments, some governments, even the fact that they want to fight in some ways against the new business models, they don't find the ways to do that because the regulation tools that they have are obsolete in many cases. And also other concerns is the impact on the ability of collecting taxes. And new agreements are needed in terms of taxing, but we know that any agreement on this area could take 30 years or more to be achieved. So we are at the innovation society at this moment. There is a need of permanent innovation in every sector, in business model, regulation, education. We need to work what are the skills that will be needed in 20 years in the society for dealing with a new reality, with the new jobs, what the society will require, what the abilities and skills that will be required. And this is not just a decision that we have to take one time. It's something that we have to review every year, because in 21 years, probably the skills that will be needed are different, and in 30 years, for sure, will be different. So it needs a permanent innovation. I think that this is my personal theory, that the countries will have to achieve a certain level of innovation to be benefited by the new technologies and these evolving technologies. And countries that are able to achieve this threshold will be the winners, and the others will be the losers. The conclusion is that we have to work fast on connecting the unconnected with the perspective of the Sustainable Development Goals in mind. It is not just connecting people for connecting people. It is about development. And this is being done in a challenging framework, understanding the concerns that the evolution of technology produces to many people. But we still have the opportunity to build an internet that benefits everybody. We have the opportunity to continue working and building the internet we want, and everything within a permanent innovation. Because this is still the information society, as we already used to say, or the knowledge society, but this will continue being that, because the information and knowledge will continue being important. But really, what is really characterizing this era is not just the information or knowledge, it's the need for permanent innovation. And this is why I like to call this era as the innovation society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Raul. I now request Dr. Kan Kylie to speak about the role of internet society in China's internet development.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Do I get my slide? Yeah. First of all, apologize for ISC, Internet Society of China. Well, it's just a Chinese name translated into English. Just by coincidence, sounds pretty much like ISOC, but not intentional. Thank you. Okay. Sorry for that. Okay. Let me talk about this China's internet. Well, first of all, I'm here. Well, so for some people, whenever thinking about China's internet, they think about no access to Google, to Facebook, Twitter, to YouTube, and so forth. Okay. Well, anyway, what I'm going to talk here today is not to deny or to defend that. Well, that's another issue. Maybe others have more interest. What I'm going to talk about is about the positive side of China's internet situation. Okay. First, well, China's internet has a coverage of well over 700 million internet users. Okay. That means about 60% of the overall population and still growing pretty fast. We just talked about the next 1 billion internet users, and I think both India and China were going to contribute to that goal. Okay. Another is about China's internet penetration. Okay. It reaches far out to the most remote rural areas, even to the mountain Everest. Well, that's the highest peak in the world. Well, pretty much close to there. Okay, and also it goes into about every single industry. For example, my students at college, they are getting used to just order meals over the internet and sitting in their dorm. Okay, so about every single industry penetrated. Okay, and talking about China's internet industry itself. Okay, it has two, at least, most important factors. One, it is huge. The size of China's internet corporations is huge. Among the top 5 largest capitalized internet corporations in the world, China has 2. Among the top 10, China has 4. Okay, so for example, well, another significant character of China's internet corporations is its economic and social impact. For example, there's Alibaba, the e-commerce company. Okay, just a single company has about 10% of the national retail going through that single one e-commerce company. Okay, and also about Tencent, WeChat. As a matter of fact, the users of WeChat even more than the users of the internet, because there are still like a few dozen millions of overseas Chinese also use WeChat as well. Okay, and basically replaces the voice and especially the short messages. Okay. So the players mentioned, okay, they are very extremely influential private industry, private companies. Okay, what their interest is profitability, of course. Okay, the second player will be the consumers. Okay, we mentioned about the vast numbers of consumers, end users in China, and their interest is to have their rights and interests protected. Okay, and third player in this industry is the government. Okay, everybody knows that in China, the government is all powerful. Okay, no question, no doubt about that. Okay, and also the government's interest is to see the internet well developed, fast and well healthy developed, and also the government wants the social stability. Okay, so these are the interests of the 3 players. Okay, so well, since these are the 3 players of China's internet, okay, and they have very different goals and interests. Okay, so for the internet governance, there could be different options. One is probably like each party stand out for themselves and fight against each other and so forth. Okay. However, especially in China's situation, environment, that's first very inefficient. Okay. Secondly, very costly. Well, lawyers in China is not cheap either. Okay. And third, especially when you talk about fighting against the government, well, that's only next to impossible in China. Okay. So other option for internet governance in China is to establish some kind of cooperation and coordinate the interests of different parties. Okay. therefore, the solution for China's internet governance is a multi-stakeholder model, okay? Which is, well, all that effort is combined within this organization, the so-called Internet Society of China, ISC, okay? ISC was established back in 2001, and its mandate was to protect, there are a few. One is to protect the consumer's rights and interests. That's fundamental, okay? And secondly, it also to promote the internet development in China, okay? So therefore, this multi-stakeholder model is basically like a who is who of China's internet industry. For the corporate members, it has well over 1,000 corporations as members of ISC, okay? Basically, it's saying that if you are not a member of ISC, your company is not even worth anything, not worth mentioning. You are nobody, okay? So everybody wants to be, every single company, internet company wants to become a member of ISC. And then there's a criteria to be set. We talk about that later. And also about there have dozens of academic members, okay, within ISC. Okay, we'll see what role they play. And also the government is not officially a member or a part of ISC. This ISC is 100% non-governmental. Well, when we talk about that is the Ministry of Information, MIIT, okay, and others government departments, ministries, okay? So, however, the government oversees ISC's activities and guide ISCs, okay? So the role of the stakeholders are the following, okay? The scholars, academic people, their interest is to be become popular and their ideas, opinions being accepted and be formulated in government policies. That is their interest, okay? So they are very highly motivated to represent the consumer's rights and interests. Now, that is the way to get popular and gain respect, social respect, right? And also, they advise the governments and also the industry, the companies. Okay, that's the role of the scholars. For example, like myself. Okay, and also for the industry, they are members of the ISC. They're looking for profitability. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so well, the companies have to have a good behavior in order to gain market share and also to be respected, and then they push for internet development for growth. The government will implement policies through ISC and supervise the industry and guide consumers. And also, the government keeps ISC financially independent. Okay, so for this goal, the ISC has 26 work committees and 12 working groups. Okay, a whole list from everything to everything. Everything related to internet, where there's a working committee or a working group. Okay. ISC also has many dozens of initiatives to start some initiatives within China. Okay, especially the self-discipline, anti-spam, internet copyright, and network security. You name it, they have it. Okay, so here's a picture. For example, annually, ISC has its annual China Internet Conference, CIC. Routinely, it has tens of thousands. Like last year, it was like 70,000 participants in Beijing alone. Okay, and Satish and quite a few others from APRICOT were invited. Okay, right. That is okay. Oh yeah, last year. Well, these people and also Marine, well, were there and delivered as the then chair of APRICOT delivering the speech on behalf of APRICOT. Okay. Also, ISC has self-discipline awards. Okay, those companies who behave well, they will be awarded. And that guarantees the end users, the consumers, okay, this company is trustworthy. Okay, so, well, the companies, they better go for it. Okay. Also, here is the General Secretary of ISC calling to protect consumer data on national television. Okay, very important initiatives. Okay, ISC on copyright protection, again, works together with the court, provide expert opinions, especially ISC's academic people as expert opinions, and also to give like certificates and awards. Also, one thing worth mentioning, since 2006, ISC established a complaint report center. In 2015, 1 year alone, this report center handled over 1.8 million complaints from end users, consumers. Okay? And also for each charity to close or shrink the digital divide, for donations and training and so forth. Okay, so thank you very much. And
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Now, 2-3 questions we can take. Okay. Can we have one question, please? 1 or 2 at the most. Anyone wants to?
for all the presenters? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not you. No questions? Okay, I will request now this Noorani and Phyllis to come and give a brief on the accountability work in the RIPE community, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I realise that we are at the very end of this session, so I think I have about 5 minutes to give this presentation. I'll attempt to do that in that time. My name is Noorani Nimpuno. I work for Asteroid, but I'm here in the capacity of a member of the RIPE Accountability Task Force, and I thought I'd give a little bit of an update on the work that we're doing there. Okay. Just to put this in a little bit of a context, so in the very early days when the RIR communities were formed, we're talking about the humble beginnings, the RIR meetings started out really as informal gatherings, very trust-based interactions with unwritten processes. And that sort of laid the foundation for the bottom-up consensus-based decision-making processes that we have today, even though those things were very informal and it wasn't necessarily all documented. And that's, the RIR system is something that has developed over 20 plus years, and since then the ecosystem grew bigger and there were more players and stakeholders who wanted to engage with the RIR communities, and lots of different interests represented. So the RIR communities grew as well. And throughout that process, the RIR principles were strengthened, but they were also documented and developed, and there was a need, very clear need identified for openness, transparency, and inclusiveness. And that's really the background of sort of where the RIR communities are today. And so very recently, we had the IANA stewardship transition take place, and I myself was a member of the CRISP team that developed the proposal for the numbers services part. We have a few other members here today as well. And it was very clear in that process that the RIRs and their communities had the trust of its stakeholders. And so the CRISP proposal very much reflected that trust, and it embodied these number community principles. And also, it was interesting for us as people who have been members of the numbers community for a very long time to see how the numbers community was viewed throughout this process. And the number community was really held up as an example of good community-driven governance, which was very encouraging to see, and it showed that the RIR communities had reached a maturity that we didn't have necessarily 20 plus years ago. And IANA stewardship transition, there was this accountability process that started up in ICANN. And the numbers community contributed to that process and shared our experience with the names community, but really it was a process that very much was separate from the RIR communities because it was one that looked at how ICANN should be governed and how the namespace was governed. And so, for example, Atina Franculi from the RAP NCC was one of the members of the CCWG accountability working group in ICANN that contributed with views from the numbers perspective. But it was clear then that the RIRs and the numbers community, we have our own accountability mechanisms and our own bottom-up structures. And one thing that I personally said, but a lot of the people from the number community also said, when looking at accountability and looking at the work that was happening in the ICANN community, was that you can't have trust without accountability, but you can also not have accountability without trust. You can't create lots of accountability mechanisms if there's not a fundamental trust in that community, in those structures and processes. And we found that that trust was actually something that the RIRs and the RIR communities had. But it was also felt that since we have matured as a community and since there are a lot more other players involved, and since throughout this process also with the IANA stewardship transition process, we realized that even though all of these processes and structures are very clear to us, to members of the community, it might not be all that clear to everyone who's outside of our community. So with the experience from the accountability processes at ICANN, Atina brought up the question in the RIPE community, do we need an accountability review of some sort? And I come back to my earlier point about that it was very much felt that there was a trust in the system. So there were no signals from anyone in the community that we needed to change any of our fundamental principles. But we said, well, it's healthy to actually take a step back and look at our accountability mechanisms. So we formed a task force in October last year. And if you're interested, you can have a look at the link there if you want to read more. There's an open mailing list. We have a closed sort of task force that focuses, that does the actual work, but anyone can look at its work. And we have put together a draft scope. We've also elected a chair, Felice Yilmaz, who is sitting here. And the scope is really to review the RIPE community, our structures, our documentation, our processes, to look at where we need to document the existing structures and processes, and where there's gaps between RIPE accountability and where those structures that can be improved and strengthened. And with that, we also hope to come with recommendations to the community and also identify areas where there's further work needed on communication, on outreach, etc., that the RIPE NCC, the Secretariat, can take on board. So we're limited to just looking at the RIPE community. The RIPE NCC is a membership structures, so any changes to the organization itself can happen through the membership, but the community as such is being reviewed through this accountability process. So we have shared this draft scope with the community. That's normally the way task forces are formed and how that happens in the RIPE community. We have a work plan under development, and we hope to put together our first report at the next RIPE meeting. And that's basically it. I'll keep it very short. And I'll finish with this quote. I used to take trust on man's deeds after having listened to his words. Now, having listened to man's words, I go on to observe his deeds. And I think that very much reflects the spirit of reviewing the accountability of the community. And with that, I'd like to just invite Felice to say if she has anything to add as the chairperson of the group. Thank you.
I'll use this mic, if I may. Sorry, I'm turning my back to you, to you people. But yes, we wanted to share our experience. We started this effort at the RIPE community, but globally we have 5 different area regions, and I'm wondering if these are subjects relevant to your communities as well. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm breaking the logistics here. Speaking of logistics, the thing is, we know we came at in the last minute. What we basically wanted to share our experience so far. It's not a finished work, it's just the beginning of the work. We started our work, we will keep on reporting to our community. But I myself and Nurani as well will be here until the end of the week. If you have any suggestions, if you have any ideas about this, because community work is in fact might be regional. We have our own regional issues, but the principles that we have been deploying over the decades as different within the different area communities are very much the same. Transparency, openness, inclusiveness, we've been operating within those things, and I think we resonate with each other around those principles. So we would like to get your opinions about that too. Yeah, if there are any questions, I'm happy to join the crowd here. Thanks, Nurani, she did a great job. And,
It may be helpful for you to explain the difference between RIPE and RIPE NCC, because this is a RIPE accountability task force, right? As I understand it, so that could be useful.
Very good question. In fact, this is coming up in our region too. May I answer that, Nurani? This is very interesting, and I think it only reflects to the maturity of the communities itself as we grew over time. We came to a point where we want to look at ourselves rather than the RIR itself and the legal entity. So no, this accountability issue is only governing the community itself, and it's coming from the community itself through the community. So as individuals, we are looking at our own accountability measures that we apply within the community as we make all these decision-making processes, how we apply them, how do we select or elect our leaders. So nothing to do with the RIPE NCC itself, not the RIR. Yes.
Please.
I just wanted to raise one quick question. In the accountability part, is the, for example, community representative also being sort of analyzed or considered that are the community persons who are raising issues, are they raising the right issues or not in the accountability part? Or you as community representative are looking in your own analysis for yourself? Thank you.
Shall I answer? So we felt that the very first exercise the group needed to do was actually to try to map out where are there gaps, are there any room for improvements, and also where do we have existing accountability mechanisms that we can document and show and explain. The next step is then to look at what can be improved. What can the RIPE NCC, as in the Secretariat, do? But also what can the community do to improve itself? But at this point, we haven't actually ruled out trying to seek input from outside the community. We know in the IANA stewardship transition process, we were, for example, interviewed by the Government Advice Accountability Office in the US, so it was interesting to hear how they perceived our community. So we're very much open to getting perspectives from outside the community and maybe even get a review from a third independent party.
I just want to add one thing. At RIPE, as the community, we very much function as individuals. There is no representational mechanism within the RIPE community itself, you know. At the decision making, everybody is an individual, everybody has a voice. They may be representing in their day job a company, but their contribution is through their individual self. So now, so one person is not speaking for another number of people with a voting or stuff. So we work on very much based on rough consensus mechanism. So that makes it interesting in relation to your question. So in a way, we are looking into accountability towards the community itself from the individuals as well. Like as a community member, you're also accountable to the community as a collective. So your actions are also, they have an impact on that community overall. So that kind of perspective is also involved within our scope. So it's not only about, you know, who gets the power, but who gives the power, if there is supposed to be a power.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I would like to thank Noorani and Phyllis for this briefing the RIPE Community Accountability and Transparency Mechanism. Adam, you want to? Yes. So thank you very much for this session on SIG cooperation. I thank all the community here and the SIG members for this session. Thank you.